Hey guys, I am testing audio and video and I'm waiting for Stephanie and Heather to join us so you can sit here and stare at me for the next few minutes. All right.
Oops. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Can you see me?
Hold on, let me pop back over. Yeah, I can see you.
Hi. You can clearly hear me. I was just about to say, and can you hear me though?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
your background is so cute. I'm like, I have nothing behind me. I mean, I've got this like someone, I don't know if you know Holly Casto, but she's like a YouTuber and we met somehow through that, and we did like a little something like this, and she used it as like a YouTube post, and somebody got on there and like trolled it and made this mean comment that it looked like I was in a crack house, like because I'm just in like a white room or something, and I'm like, it's a plain white background so that I can like, because I put like graphics up beside me, but he was not. He was really a huge opinionated jerk. So
I think we all have those from time to time.
yeah.
That's one reason why I make these unlisted instead of public. And they're password protected. So you have to get the email to join and have the password and the link to find it. So it's a little harder for people to troll these.
To lurk and be mean, yeah.
But I know Periscope was horrible for that. That's
God, and
why I didn't like
creepy people.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time I would broadcast, I had my finger at the bottom, just waiting,
waiting to delete someone. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're waiting on. Heather had a last minute impromptu trip to the beach.
Oh, nice.
Lucky she's like, her. I know they have Wi-Fi and I'll be there, so just sit tight. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know she was going to be in here, and then I felt bad because I was like, I didn't mention Heather. I thought it was just going to be Kirsten, and I hope she doesn't think that I was like giving. I already was like, I felt terrible for saying like, I don't think I'm going to be able to write a blog post.
No,
we're in the middle of like trying to move and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know your email list is where you do most of your communication anyway, so it's all good.
Okay, yeah. And I've had the banner across my site, so if people did come to read the blog, they would see that there was a webinar happening, and hopefully that would have gotten them to sign up. But yeah, and then on top of everything, it's like, you go away for vacation and we had this beautiful time in Tulum, and then you come back and it's kind of like, what's that movie, Big Fish, where it's like time stops, but then it has to like catch up again. And that's how I felt like this whole week has been. It's like every client I have has needed like something dumb and additional that like wasn't planned. And I'm like trying to change everything with my membership, my free opt-in, my everything all at once. And and then Josh is like, I think I found us the perfect house to move into. And so that's what we're scrambling to do that. And I'm like, am I a masochist or what? Because it's like everything all at once. But I mean, I guess that's how things happen.
Yeah. And you have to pay for your vacation. So
It's true. Exactly. I'm like getting some, I don't know. I haven't updated you. Do you have anything, or have you ever worked with anybody on Upwork?
I have not.
I've with it. Yeah. It's like, I put something up there when I first started last year freelancing, and I was looking at the job boards, but never actually like went after anything, but like it's still up and people still find me that way, which is really strange. But I've been getting some really fun potential like content creation clients, and I've been sending out proposals, and all of that is like exciting but also terrifying because I'm like, I already feel like I'm too busy.
Yeah. So it looks like we have some people in here already. We have Nancy from Palm Springs. We have Nicole from San Diego, Hannah from Charlotte, Julie from Arizona, Chris from Montreal, Terry from Arizona, Cindy from Portland. Hi, guys.
Hello.
We're waiting on Heather to join us. She took an impromptu last-minute trip to the beach. So she's trying to get her internet hooked up and all that good stuff. So she'll be here. And if we have to start without her, we will. It's all good. So
I didn't have the chat room open. I didn't realize people were popping in. I'm just like rambling on about my life.
it's all good.
I'm glad you guys can hear about the craziness that's going on.
This is what we do, honestly. Our webinars are very casual, just
good.
Whatever. And we've got about 10 minutes before we actually get started. So it's all good.
I need to find the link to the chat box that you sent me so I can.
Yeah, I sent you a link to the page where you can watch it live, and you should be able to see the chat box there. It was in the same email with the link for this.
Oh, gotcha.
Just make sure when you open it and if you play the video, just mute that tab.
Yeah.
There's not this crazy echo. Julie, my friend Julie in Arizona that's watching, we have a visitor. Hold on. Daisy. Daisy. Hey, look up, Daisy. You're on TV. There you are. Hi, Daisy. My friend Julie in Arizona that's watching, she has a basset hound named Bacon.
I love that. I love that name.
Yep, I do too. This is Daisy May. She's my little buddy. My friend Julie. Oh, there we go. Oh, Heather's here. Okay. Hey. Look at you all in your beach gear.
Girl there.
I don't see her. Oh, hi. Hello.
Apparently, I'm gonna have feedback. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. And it's no problem. Like it doesn't sound reverberating or anything.
No.
I hear a little bit of feedback, but nothing. It's not terrible.
Okay. Sorry, I just came up from the beach. So
Nice.
I'm like I just put the baby down for a nap, so I'm hoping to get myself together here.
Well, we have like 9 minutes, so if you want to go freshen up and come back.
Awesome. I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm actually.
Are we going to go with you while you freshen up?
Yeah, you can leave the video and go.
No, I know, but I want to set it up in the back bedroom so that when my family comes up from the beach, it's not like you're hearing and seeing all them during the video. See what I'm saying? Okay, I'll be back.
We're professional, y'all. I promise.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, goodness.
Hey, Emily from Austin. So we had, at last count, 196 people register, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Might be a few more because I put a last-minute call out in a couple of places, but that's really cool. I like your hair, by the way.
Thank you. It's it's in need of something else, but I never meant to do this. One of my clients is a salon here in town, and so I went in to help them with some sort of event, and this big box of dye came in, and I was like, the next time I get my hair done, I'm just gonna get my roots done and go back to normal. I'm old enough. I need to just chill out and be mature. And then this box of color came in, and I was like, seafoam green. I'm like, let's just do it. So it's a blessing and a curse, like having clients that you can just do this, like put this on my hair and let's play. And so it's after going to Mexico, it's like it's like fading, which I kind of like, but my roots are like, there's a lot happening, but I appreciate it. I really do. It'll look better maybe the next time I see you.
We're like, what was it when I published our post Wednesday? Today's Friday. We're 36 days out from our Birmingham event.
That's crazy. Don't tell me. I mean, I'll be prepared, but I'm not prepared as of right now.
I'm not either. And the people who are listening are like, wait, you're coming to this and you're not prepared?
What do you mean you're not prepared? Like, this is real life. This is real life.
And what's funny though is, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, wait. I spoke in Chicago, Brooklyn. I just did one in Atlanta. I'm going to Arizona, and then the weekend after Arizona is our thing in Birmingham. So I've talked about email enough that I don't even really do anything. I can just talk about it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this, and how I feel about like these things. When you were like, let's do a webinar, of course, immediately like I cringe up and like my whole body is tense because it's so much work to put together like a full webinar presentation, all of that, which is why I tend to avoid them. But like I talk about Instagram all day, every day, and so if it's just, you know,
It's
I'm
like
just,
second nature.
yeah, it's easy. I don't know why I would be freaked out to talk about something that I do.
Well,
like,
that's why I like the ones that we do because they're very casual. We don't do slides.
yeah.
Because slides take forever. For those of you who have never done a webinar, if you do a webinar and you make slides, it will eat up all of your time. And the ones that you don't do slides for actually end up being a lot better because they're more fun anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I get it that like having a visual, like an audio and a visual thing, like helps for people to like, you know, retain the information. But yeah, it takes so long to write the script and then to make the slides out of the script and then to make sure it's all happening. I had such a crazy almost oops. I feel like every time I've ever done a webinar, there's been something that's like technically gone wrong. But I was part of like a virtual conference and I got all the way through my presentation with slides, and this was the first time I didn't do slides and talk and watch the slides like off to the side. Like I just went away and couldn't see the chat screen. And when I got back to it after like a 45-minute presentation, I was like disconnected and I'm like, no, like screaming and like almost crying and about to start cursing. And then and I finally get back to the chat box after I refresh and they're like, we can hear you still. And I'm like, oh. Oh, okay, you heard all that? Like, I'm sorry. And then they all laughed, and it was kind of like a bonding experience. But I'm like, I just could have said so many terrible things, and it would have been recorded, and I had no idea I was still being recorded. So
Hilarious.
yeah.
Well, like
Hey,
I spoke at Haven a week or so ago here in Atlanta, and my session was an hour and a half long. And, I mean, I knew the stuff like the back of my hand, but it took me 3 weeks to put my slides together.
Yeah.
Because I just had to do it in, like, little increments of time. It's so time-consuming to do that. I love it, but it's really time-consuming. So
I think having, like, a virtual assistant that, like, can just take and make, if I could come up with like a good template of like what I always want my slides to look like, but I feel like I have to touch everything. I still have that problem where it's like, well, I don't know what I want it to look like until I make it, and so then I end up doing it myself. But maybe that's the key, is to just like hand it off to a VA and let them do that part.
I can't let go of control like that just yet.
Hey y'all, I'm about to do a Snapchat/Insta story telling people to join us here, so I'm going to mute my microphone but just so y'all know what I'm doing.
Okay. I like that seashell art in her background too. Like quintessential beach cottage.
Oh, I want a vacation. I haven't had one in a while.
I mean, I like literally just came back and I already like need another one. Other people are popping in. Let's see, I can keep up with.
Kate from Savannah and Mary and Kat and Portugal. Holy crap. What time is it in Portugal, Kat? It's like, I know Australia's like 14 hours ahead, so I would imagine Portugal's probably like 8 to 10 maybe.
I recognize some of the people coming in here too from the Graham Gang, which is very exciting, and some of them from the Hangout community. So hello, you guys.
That's awesome. Amanda's here. Leanne's here. Very cool. It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. That's fun.
So it's only 5 hours ahead of me. That's not terrible. I thought it would be a lot more than that.
I know. I just was making a Skype hangout plan with a friend who's in China right now. So she's going to be waking up and I'll be winding down with my glass of wine at like 8 p.m. and it'll be like 9 a.m. for her.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's Carol from the other Dallas. That's so cute. My friend Carol lives in Dallas, Texas, and I'm in Dallas, Georgia. And most people don't even know there is a Dallas, Georgia.
No, I didn't know. I did not know that.
It's about this big. It's teeny tiny.
Yeah, I thought you were in Atlanta. Is that you just tell people you're in Atlanta because people know where Atlanta is?
Nobody knows where Dallas is. So, and Atlanta Metro, it's kind of like Birmingham. You know, there's all these different suburbs of Atlanta. Yeah. So you just cumulatively call it Atlanta.
Well, I'm from Crestview. Florida, and nobody knows where that is unless you've driven down to Destin, which is probably where Heather is right now. But so, and I tell people it's Crestview. They're like, what? So I'm like, it's from close to Destin.
I'm not in Orange Beach, so.
Oh, you're in Orange Beach. Gotcha.
I'm in Orange Beach. Yep. And you guys, just so you know, if you're in the chat box, I am currently on Facebook right now, our Homegrown Bloggers Facebook group. So if you want to join us on Facebook, then I'll go ahead and approve you guys really quick. I'll get dinged as your stuff comes up. So if you want to join us on Facebook for notes and talking amongst each other about Instagram, and I'm sure Stephanie will pop in there too to answer questions as well if you don't get a chance during the chat. If you're watching this on replay, go to Homegrown Bloggers on Facebook, and I'll approve you to join our group.
Can you put the link in the chat box, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to get started because it's right at 2 o'clock. So I know with 3 of us, the screens kind of bounce. So once Stephanie gets started talking, Heather and I will mute, and it will stay on her, so it won't be so bouncy. But so I'm Kirsten from SweetTeaLLC.co, and Heather is my Homegrown Bloggers co-founder. She's from My Life Well Loved. And I know a lot of you guys are here from the Graham Gang to see Stephanie, and that's awesome, and we are so appreciative that you guys are here. Stephanie is one of our brand ambassadors for Homegrown Bloggers in Birmingham, and so just very quickly to tell you guys about what that is, Homegrown Bloggers is basically hands-on educational retreats for bloggers and creatives, and Heather and I are hosting our first big event in Birmingham next month. And Heather, we were talking while you were getting ready, it's 36 days away. September 24th, and our venue is at Morgan Creek Winery, so there's wine. And there's lots of awesome swag, and Heather will be doing a session on social media strategy, and I'll be teaching about email marketing, and you actually apply what you learn at these events. So that's one of the bonuses. You're not going to go home with tons of homework and have to try to remember what you're doing and what you learned and how to do it. We're going to be right there, and we're going to hold your hand. Stephanie is going to be there all day. She's going to hang out with us all day, and she's going to do a session on Instagram and flat lays. And then we have Beth from Unskinny Boppy, who is our other brand ambassador. She's going to be there all day as well, and she's going to do a session on using Lightroom to improve your blog photography. So the one-day event is $149. We would love for you to join us in Birmingham if you can get there. The tickets include all of the educational stuff. You get breakfast, you get lunch, you get coffee, you get sweet tea, you get tons of swag, and you get a wine tour and tasting. And that's worth the price of admission right there, in my opinion. But it's going to be a really great time. We would really love for you guys to join us in Birmingham, like I said. So Heather put the link in the chat box for the Facebook group. So pop over there. We're constantly updating. We actually just shared a picture yesterday of some of the Erin Condren swag that's going to be in the swag bags.
Erin Condren is the best, you guys. Like, I cannot wait for you to see all that they sent you. It is so cool.
I know, and like every attendee at the Birmingham event, Stephanie, I don't know if you know this yet or not, but even you get this stuff, you're getting a swag bag. But Erin Condren gave every single attendee a $25 gift card plus other fun goodies from them, like journals and pencils and all kinds of cute stuff. So that's really exciting. But anyway, we are really excited to have Stephanie here. She is from Small Talk Social, and I'm just going to throw it over to you, Stephanie, to introduce yourself properly, and then we'll just get started.
Okay. Well, can you hear me? Am I on?
Yep, you're
okay.
good.
I'm like, I can't figure out which button is on and muted. Yeah, hey, I am Stephanie from Small Talk Social, and I'm a freelance social media coordinator, and then I also run a blog, which is called Small Talk Social. And I've been having a lot of fun just teaching people how to use Instagram for their business and, you know, sharing tips and tricks. And I also have for the last, I think, 6 or 7, maybe longer months, have been running a separate account called the Graham Gang, which is a daily Instagram prompt, which next month I'm rolling out sort of like an ongoing challenge, a new workbook and things like that. But a lot of people I know that have joined us are part of that group, and they know all about the Graham Gang. But yeah, that's it. I love Instagram, and I'm excited to share what I know today with you guys. So thanks for being here.
Sorry, I had to let my dog out because she was whining, so I'm like running back in. I mean, Stephanie's just you guys are free to ask questions throughout the entire thing. While one of us is talking, somebody else will be monitoring the chat box, so if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. And we're just going to get started. So one of the things that I know a lot of people want to know, Stephanie, is you know, obviously Instagram is great for beautiful pictures and it's inspiring and all that good stuff, but how do you actually grow your brand and get that engagement that we're all so hungry for on Instagram?
Yeah, well, I think that, yes, you're right. Like, you do need to have a, you know, a beautiful feed and something that is attractive to your target audience. But I think if you're talking about growing, you can't just post and walk away. I think there's a lot of work involved, which is maybe not what a lot of people want to hear. But you do need to engage on the platform. And I mean, that's the platform I really use the most. And so I spend a lot of time there anyway. I'm posting for other clients and whatnot. So I tend to just naturally engage pretty consistently, but a lot of the people that I work with, you have to come up with a schedule to, you know, spend a day or two each week, like seeking out people who are in your target audience and reaching out to them and letting them know, like, hey, I exist, and, you know, why don't you come over to my feed and check it out, or, you know, letting them know that you appreciate their content. There's work involved in that. You need to seek out the people that you want to start following you.
So do you do that through, I mean, I know hashtags are huge, and some of them get stolen by the creepy people that you and I were talking about before we really started the webinar. But so, I mean, how do you search these people out? Is it just blogs or websites that you followed before and you find them? Or, I mean, how do you find people?
I think, you know, when you're looking for, say, your target audience, for me, I know that I work with creative entrepreneurs. And so, of course, I'm not just looking under the hashtag creative entrepreneur. I'm actually going to my peers and the people who, I guess, competitors. I mean, that's a good place to start. If whatever industry that you're in, you've got someone who's also doing it and maybe has been doing it longer, or, you know, has a larger audience than you, I think the first thing would be just checking out who's following them, who's engaging with them, and then trying to engage with those people. Maybe that seems a little sketchy, but I mean, you know that that person is interested in what someone who does something similar to you offers. And so if you know what, you know, your differentiator is, like, you could potentially, like, get them to come follow you and to come grab your information or your products and services. So I think you can start by seeking out competitors, and then if brands or competitors have hashtags, I find that those are better for targeting, you know, audiences versus just looking up, like, random hashtags. Like, for right now, you could search the Graham Gang hashtag and find, like, an onslaught of, like, creative entrepreneurs if that was your target audience. But there are other brands and businesses. I think, gosh, who is it that does community over competition? It's like, I'm having I can't remember what it is, but there are specific, like, branded hashtags that, you know, other businesses are using that you could find if you are in fitness. Like, maybe you're looking under like Nike's hashtag, or, you know, Lululemon or something like that. I think that's the way that you start with hashtags to get your target audience.
Is that the Rising Tide Society?
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
When you were, like, stumbling, I was like, I know what that is. I think.
Yeah, like, what is it?
Yeah, and that community over competition hashtag has a lot of really amazing people that use that, and I've found a lot of really cool people that way too. It's all kinds of creatives. There's photographers, there's web designers, there's brand developers, there's tons of people that follow that, and I think you can benefit too from kind of collaborating with a group of people who are already in your tribe and creating your own hashtag and expanding your reach that way too. And I know, Stephanie, you did that with the Graham Gang. That was your creation, and you've got this huge group of people now with the Graham Gang. So can you talk a little bit about what the Graham Gang is? And I know a lot of the people that are watching are a part of the Graham Gang, but can you just kind of explain that and how that whole thing kind of came to life?
Yeah. So, I mean, it really started out as I wanted to, you know, everybody talks about opt-ins or ways to, you know, grow your email list. And I was trying to figure out how I could reach the people that I could help in a way that was a little different than just having, you know, a download worksheet. I had all of that stuff happening on my blog, but I knew I could use Instagram. And so I thought, well, if I could do a daily prompt on Instagram every day, I could start to connect people with other creatives who are doing this challenge, and I would be helping these people who are my target audience. So that was kind of the idea, but I didn't expect it to be as big of a deal as it ended up being, and for it to grow as quickly as it did. I mean, I'm obviously, like, super inspired and excited that did happen. But yeah, I think that's actually something I did a webinar on recently, which was how to build your community and create a hashtag that it's you're inspiring action through like everybody kind of sharing that. And so I think some people get confused about branding a hashtag, and they'll say, oh, well, my business is Small Talk Social, so my hashtag is hashtag Small Talk Social. But how many people are going to be using that and like categorizing their content under that? Like the Graham Gang is bigger than me. It's bigger than Small Talk Social. It's a gang, like it's a group that people can all be, you know, sharing and connecting and collaborating with, and it's something bigger than what I, you know, what I do myself. And so I think that's what, like, community over competition. It's an idea or a concept that a group of people who are similar can all get behind and who want to share. And so I think there's a lot of power in being able to connect and collaborate through that. And Instagram with the hashtag is a great way to do it.
And Stephanie, I was thinking about it, and I know a lot of people that are joining us are either newer bloggers or they're kind of have been using Instagram, but they don't necessarily have been using it for their business. They've been doing like their pets and their kids and shots. And so now that maybe some of them are starting to want to blog and take their Instagram to the next level for their business, their blog, whatever it is, will you kind of talk through what that looks like back to the basics? When you're first taking a picture, what are they looking for? Are there apps they should be using? Like, really, let's streamline it before we go like way, you know, advanced.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, well, the first question that a lot of people ask when they're trying to transition from like personal account into business is, do they need another account? And I don't think that you do. I think you can start to transition and share more business related information on the same, but some people still choose to do a totally separate one that's specifically for their business or blog. I think that the first thing you want to do is come up with kind of your aesthetic, just because that keeps things kind of tight and neat in a box when you're first starting out. Of course, you can branch outside of that as you get more comfortable using the platform for business, but it's sort of like when you're coming up with just your brand and your logo and your visual, you're setting up your blog, you're coming up with a color story. I think that's a great way, and it's fun to do. I actually have a guide on my website that walks you through like your Insta aesthetic, like you kind of walk step by step through choosing like your mood and your colors and you know, what kind of content you're going to share, because there's so many things. You know, there's like flat lays and styled. Am I going to share product photography? Am I sharing, you know, style and outfits? And there's so much content that can be shared. I think that is overwhelming for people. So figuring out maybe content buckets, like what are the things I'm trying to share and why? So what is the intention of each post? Like I'm not just all willy-nilly sharing things about things just because. It's every time I post, I'm trying to get the person looking at this to take action, whether it's to read a blog or to buy something or to sign up for my email opt-in. So I think in addition to coming up with the visual strategy, you want to come up with the editorial strategy too, sort of like, why am I posting this, and then what does it look like, and how does it speak to the target audience that I'm trying to reach, if that makes sense. It's sort of just like a blog, honestly. I mean, it's sort of like posting an image with a caption. You know, there's a purpose when we're going to blog. We're trying to get somebody to take action, so I think it's just a micro version of that.
I was about to say, I think that some people call it microblogging, so exactly. Yeah,
microblogging platform. So maybe that's not basic enough still, but I mean, if people have specific questions, I can definitely answer those too.
Well, I was going to say, I did, before this question gets too far up in the comments, I did see somebody posted, and I think Kirsten asked what their name was. Was it Nicole? Is that right? Let's see. Nicole said, what are some things you can comment on potential clients' posts without sounding salesy?
So they mean like, this is someone that I would love to work with, but how do I like open the door and start the conversation?
I think so, but Nicole, feel free to clarify, because we want to make sure we're at, oh, she said yep. Yep. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's a delicate song and dance, I think, because you don't want, I mean, if you've ever had, this happens to me, you don't want to be that person who's like, hey, we love your feed, we love to work with you, or like DMing someone the moment they've like visited your account, or you find them and you're immediately DMing and like blowing up their feed, liking a bunch of their content, and you're like, hey, I do this and I would love to work with you. I think it's like a little aggressive. I think the great thing about Instagram and any social media platform is that you have that time to develop a relationship. So like maybe hold on for a second, maybe like it could be, obviously it's strategic, but you're posting things that you think that
they're going to be attracted to or like, or it's an example of something that you would do for them, and start the conversation, but not in a way that's like, hey, I want you to pay me money to do this. Like, it's more of a, I'd like to get to know you, let's develop kind of like a business relationship, and then I think those doors could open. I don't know, I'm just not one to be like a car salesman and be like, hey, I mean, I'm here and this is what I do, and using Instagram to do that. I think a way to do it. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think it's similar to kind of pitching yourself in a Facebook group too, because there's tons of Facebook groups out there where my potential clients hang out, but it's no different than on Instagram. So if I see somebody and you search hashtags and you look on other people's Instagrams that are kind of related to your niche and that sort of thing, where your potential clients might be following them, and just be helpful. I mean, answer questions. Don't offer anything. Don't ask them. Don't pitch your services or anything. Just be consistently helpful, whether it's in a Facebook group or on Instagram or anywhere else. And I think if you provide that value for free consistently enough, people will go, oh, hey, this girl knows what she's talking about. Let me see what her Instagram account looks like, and they'll click over there. And and I'm going to go all email crazy, put a link to a landing page as your profile link in Instagram, and make sure that you talk about your services there, because if people see that you're consistently delivering that value and they click over to your profile, they're probably going to click through to see what your blog or website's all about. So that's one way to kind of set yourself up as an authority without being salesy. And like Nicole was asking, she said, to build a relationship and build that brand awareness. I think that's a really good way to do that without being just, hey, I sell this stuff, come spend money on me,
Exactly. I think when I started out with my account, and I still do this, and I have plans to do this in a different way now that Stories has been introduced, but, just sharing lots of helpful tips and tricks, like people would come to visit my account and people were sharing that, like, tagging their friends in the comments that I was sharing, this is how you hide a hashtag, or like, this is, you shouldn't do this with your Instagram images, like sharing any kind of like helpful tips and tricks just on your account too, so that if you were to, strategically you could go to their account, like a few of their photos, make a few comments just to get them to say like, hey, who is this? It's giving me, positive feedback on my account. It's your potential, hopefully, client. And then they pop over to your account and they see in your profile and your bio, it tells exactly what you do, the service that you offer, how to get in touch, and then they see in your feed that you're sharing really helpful information and you know what you're talking about and you're an expert, then that's, you're kind of setting the stage. So I think people put a lot of pressure on social media to like literally make them money, and I think that people get really annoyed by accounts that are like just hard selling all the time. Again, it's a lot of different people's opinions, but for me, I think that it's meant to build the brand awareness, let people know that you know what you're talking about, give them an easy way to contact you when they're ready for you, and then just open up and interact and engage. I think it should be fun versus another hard sell.
And I think that's such a good point. And I know that whenever I log on to Instagram, I make it my goal that if I'm going to go on and do a post, I'm going to try to at least spend half the time that I'm on Instagram connecting with other people. So like, I'm going to do a post and spend maybe 2 minutes doing that, then I'm going to spend at least another 2 minutes or maybe 5 or 10 or whatever it is I have time for that day, going on and seeing who's posted other things, who I can comment with, who in my niche of blogging friends I can comment and connect with, because that's just a great way to help out your community.
Exactly.
And then also we got a couple more questions, and I want to keep up with them because it's so good and I don't want to miss out on any of the knowledge and the questions. Luann Christie said, I don't know if anyone had asked this before, but less hashtags or more hashtags?
More. I think more hashtags.
More.
I'm like a you can use 30, so use 30. I don't know why anybody would use less. And people are like, well, that's annoying, and hashtags are silly, and like people are going to unfollow me if I use a ton. There are a lot. I share tips on how to hide them within your comments. There's, you can put bullet points. They don't have to be out there. People don't have to see them. But I think doing good hashtag research and using 30, it's simple because each hashtag will put your content in a new category for new people to discover. And so why would you only give yourself 3 chances when you have the opportunity to give yourself 30 chances? I just think the more hashtags, the better, but the right hashtags, not wild and crazy, unrelated hashtags.
Okay, I have two things. One is related to this one, and then one is a question that's further back I want to make sure we get to. So, regarding the hashtags, and tell me if this is wrong, but I think you can only put 11 in the first caption. Is that right? And then the rest of them have to be an additional comment?
I don't know. I'm not sure that that only 11 is allowed. I mean, that might be true. I honestly don't know. I never put more than 2 or 3 in my caption just because it gets too jumbled. I sometimes write captions that are literal paragraphs, so it's already so much to read that I don't want to add any more fluff to it. So I always add my main hashtags to a comment directly below my caption, just as a best practice. I think that's better. But I do know that you'll get a big red exclamation point from Instagram when you have too many on there, so you'll have to cut a few down. But I do know 30 is the max total, but I'm not sure about the caption.
Sydney had asked earlier, and we kind of skipped past it, but can you just briefly explain the difference between a regular Instagram account and the Instagram for Business?
The new business accounts. Yes. The main difference is that you have access when you switch over to a business account to like insights and analytics. So that, and then you can promote a post directly from within Instagram. And I've done that. I've experimented with that a little bit. I had someone actually email me that wasn't sure if she's going to make it here, talking about business accounts. So we could definitely dive into that too today. But the main thing is that business accounts are connected to your Facebook account. It's going to give you like a better bio, really. I mean, it's going to share the industry that you're in automatically. If you're a 4-wall like actual business location, it will share your zip or address and zip code and everything, and you can click that and it will open it up in Maps, which is really cool. And it gives you a contact button, so you've probably seen those people who have like transitioned over to business accounts. You can just click contact and it gives you the option to text or call, and if you're a physical business, to like get directions or whatnot, or email. So there's like a lot of options that people have now to contact you easily from your account. And then on the back end, you can now see, I know specifically who's following me, the top 5 cities that they're located in, the times that are best, or that those people, my target audience, are on Instagram. So it helps with like the timing of your post. Like if I know a majority of the people that follow me are in San Diego and that's 2 hours behind me, then I need to be mindful of when I'm posting my better content that I'm like, oh, well, people don't even live where I live, so I need to pay attention to the times. If they were all in Australia, I would clearly need to be like staying up nights to like post to these people. So that's valuable information. And it also shows you, I think what's interesting, because we know the algorithm rolled out, everybody's been complaining but not really understanding like what's happening. You have a certain number of followers, and then we look at the engagement of them, based on comments and likes. And lately I'm like, well, I'm growing followers, but my engagement and likes are kind of staying in this like general zone. But now I can see that even though I'm getting new followers, I can see the impressions, the amount of times people are looking at a particular image, and also the reach. So Instagram's showing me, okay, so you have 7,000 followers, but only 1,500 of those people have seen this picture. So then you can look at that picture and look at the engagement, and okay, so this doesn't totally suck. This isn't the worst post ever. It actually got 14% engagement, and I thought it only got 2% engagement based on how many people are following me. If that makes sense. It's easier to know if something's working or not if you know that not all the people that are following you actually saw the picture or saw the post or anything like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if this will even be, I don't know if you can see. So can you guys kind of see like the bar graph down here at the bottom? If you can see that, I have to turn it sideways because business account looks like. So you get statistics, which are awesome, and you can tell a lot about people. Instagram for Business is what forced me to finally create a Facebook page for business because I hate Facebook, but I had to have one. So anyway,
they're pretty. They're forcing it.
I know they are, but that's okay because Facebook now owns Instagram. I get it. We had a question up here about. I gotta find it. You guys are asking really
Blue Sky Kitchen. Because she said how many max posts at one time is best. I think that's the furthest one up. I want to make sure I'm not skipping anybody. So Kirsten, correct me if that's not the one you were going to do.
Oh, no, that's not the one I was going to do. So
how many posts like to Instagram at a time?
Yes.
So I typically say like one. I would say no more than like 3 posts per day, like a morning, noon, and night. If you wanted to do that, again, you'll know better when you have insights, like when the best times to post are, and you can see from engagement and reach, like what the best times are to post. But I think especially with the new algorithm, that over posting is going to hurt you, because the way that it doesn't show the people following you your content in chronological order. So if you post 3 in a row, it's going to choose maybe one of those to really push to the people who want to see it, and the other 2 are going to look like nobody cared. So again, I don't strategically, I wouldn't overpost. The great thing is that they're stories. So what you want to do is carefully select and strategically post the best of those to your feed, but you can share and show as much as you want now via stories. And if anybody wants to know about stories, we can talk about that too. But
by the way, I love Instagram stories.
Were you on Snapchat? Were you using it?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Only
I was. I'm not as much anymore now that there's Instagram stories.
So I would use Snapchat when my 14-year-old would remind me that I had a Snapchat. That was it. Like, I just couldn't remember. But I'm already on Instagram, so it's just kind of natural for me to go, oh, I'm going to do this on Instagram stories. And I love that people can reply and have this direct conversation. That's probably my favorite thing.
It's crazy because I was so excited to really start digging into Snapchat with like my readers and the people in the Graham Gang. Like, okay, we've talked about Instagram and we can keep talking about it, but let's talk about Snapchat. I love it. But then right before I went on vacation, stories rolled out, and I thought about it, and I was like, I mean, Snapchat is still awesome. There's so many features, but I haven't used it since stories rolled out either, and I have plans to use stories a lot more, and I think it's super beneficial. Even for the clients that I manage who we were trying to migrate them over to Snapchat, if you weren't already on it with an audience, but you already have an Instagram and an audience, it's better. It's just, I mean, I think that's for businesses. I don't think there's another option unless you already had like a full following on your Snapchat account. They're going to roll out new features. You're going to be able to do similar things. The one thing that we've been saying though with stories is that the more you update, the more you're constantly in the face of the people who follow you, because right now it's chronological to your updates, but they definitely are that's gonna be part of the algorithm eventually too. So I think starting to use stories now is a good idea so that people are engaging with those stories, because even though they don't show it in the insights for the business accounts, I think eventually you are going to see the same sort of insights for who's viewing your stories and how many people it's reaching and that sort of thing. So
Stephanie, I think that's really good insight. I do think it'd be awesome while we're on the subject of stories, if people have questions about that right now, to go ahead and put them in the chat box. But Stephanie, how you're starting out with stories, is there anything you've seen so far that you'd say, oh, I wouldn't do more than 10 stories a day, or do a video? Like, what have you found that's working so far for you and your clients?
I think that my one thing with Snapchat, and I had not been able to catch up and like write this, like the kind of the annoying things that people do on Snapchat that probably aren't as effective as like what they could do. People are doing that on Snapchat or on Instagram stories as well now. And I don't know about you, but when people just get on a story and it's just their face like for 10 seconds, but like 10 of them in a row, where they're trying to get through they're trying to teach something fully, but only with like the floating head, and it's just like boom, 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 and it's 10-second intervals, and I end up just like boop, 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 like clicking all the way through it and not really even listening to what they're saying. So I think with stories, just like Snapchat, you have the opportunity to get really creative with how you showcase it. You have text and you can add emojis, and like you can make it more interesting and even interactive, because people can literally respond to sections of your story. So I would say, and I really haven't been able to sit down and like dig into exactly what I think strategically will like work with this and experiment yet, but I think that coming up with more of a, I don't know, you think about planning your own TV show or even like a YouTube or some sort, you write like a storyline basically. I know when I've done Snapchat takeovers, you kind of come up with, first I'm going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about this, then we're going to engage the audience, and then we're going to show them this, and you kind of plot it out. I think going in that way would be really beneficial. But you can also, it should be kind of raw too, so you can just show like what's happening behind the scenes during a crazy day in the office, or what you're having for lunch and that kind of thing. But I think being strategic, as always, is going to be your best bet. Like trying to use it in a way that people engage with, it's going to go far once they start rolling out the algorithm for that as well.
So we've got a ton of questions, and like Heather said, I don't want to skip over any, so I'm going to kind of backtrack just a little bit and try to catch us up. And these can be really short answers if you have short answers. One of them, Sydney had asked, do you create a hashtag spreadsheet for all of the categories that you blog about?
And actually, Kirsten, I think that to be really efficient with how we're doing this, I've got another one that was before that also has to do with hashtags, so I'm going to do both of those at the same time. So there's the one Sydney said about, do you create hashtag spreadsheets for all the categories that you blog about? And then Nicole said, how do you begin the hashtag research? Also, do you stay away from hashtags that have tons of posts, like 1 million plus posts? I feel like if I use these hashtags, my posts will be lost, and in turn, it's a waste.
Yes, I mean, I think she's right. Like, I think you want to be strategic about research. Just means like looking for the keywords, just as like SEO keywords. Start with like the really basic stuff. Like if you're a yoga instructor, like you start with yoga, and then you look down. When you search a hashtag on Instagram, you can go scroll down and find other ones, and it'll show you exactly how many times those have been used. And I think you want to dig into like the hashtags that aren't used as much, and then look at the content that's being posted under that and see if that is something that you would want your content to fall within that category. That's a good place to start. Again, there's not like a specific how-to. It really depends on your industry and who within your industry is has their own branded hashtags and things like that. But I would be careful if they've got millions and millions of uses, which is why you don't want to be super generic, because as soon as you post it, it's going to like fall to the bottom of the feed and no one's ever going to find it. It's just going to be buried.
And one thing that I think is interesting is I just did what Stephanie was talking about, and I don't know if you can see on my screen or not, but I just searched yoga, and so it populates all the things, like she said, down with yoga other examples. Once you select yoga across the top of the screen, it also suggests different related hashtags. So there's 2 different ways they'll suggest, so look out for that.
Yeah, usually the related ones, if you keep going down the rabbit hole of related, you'll find like the good ones that are like kind of in that sweet spot that are less generic category tags of like boy, girl, dog, whatever, and they become like actual concepts that you can use that are more community within that idea, if that makes sense.
Did we answer all those questions? I think we did from Nicole.
I don't know. I'm trying. So there's some people who really are just, they really have no idea what Instagram stories are, and I wish we could screen share. So here's one thing that I want you guys who have never looked at Instagram stories before, and if you'll bear with me, let me close this, because I think if you see what it looks like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Can you screen share? Do you have a FireWire cable with you?
No. I'm low tech. So if you guys, I know this is really hard to see, so maybe Stephanie and Heather, if y'all can mute your mics for just a second. Let's see if I can get this to work. So up at the top, I know this is really, there's a glare. Here we go. Okay, you can kind of see there's these circles right here at the top. Those are Instagram stories from people I follow. This is your feed, but at the top are Instagram stories. So if you click on any of these, like here's mine that I did earlier. So it there's Daisy. I mean, you can just go through all these different stories, and they're either 10-second videos that you just record and share, or it's an image, and you can add video and images to your story, and it's just like this consistent flow of content instead of like a staged or a styled picture that you put in your feed. So the Instagram stories disappear after 24 hours. So if I post one right now, then this time tomorrow it's going to go away. It's not going to be on my story anymore. You can't add links, you can't add captions. You can draw and add text like to the picture or the video. So sometimes what people will do is, like, if they take a picture or do a video in their Instagram story, you can use the little pen tool and you can like color over it and then add like a bit.ly link or something if you want people to be able to go to it. I don't recommend using a really long URL. and typing in a huge long URL, because people can't click on it. They have to actually type it into a browser. So Instagram stories are great for in the moment kind of things. And your Instagram feed is for more structured, stylized stuff if you want to have a caption or a link that goes with it. So that's kind of the difference between the two. If you've never ever done anything with Instagram stories, I highly recommend that you watch a few before you actually try to do some, so you just have an idea of how they work. And that whole string of circles across the top, there's actually, you can't even see it, I'm not even going to show it, but there's a little plus sign on the top left of your Instagram feed, and that's how you'll start your own story. So you click a plus sign and you'll see a camera pop up. So see, there's me. Woo! So you can you hold the button down to record, or you just touch the button to take a picture, and then you click the check mark and it adds it to your story. So that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple, but if you've never used it, just watch a few and kind of play around and see how it works. So I didn't mean to bombard, but there's a lot of questions that are just kind of basic.
No.
Like, what are Instagram stories?
Yeah, I felt like I kind of opened like a can of worms when I said that, but I promise, if you guys want to sign up for either the Grambang or my newsletter, or just, follow me on Instagram, I will be talking a lot more about stories in the near future, because I think there's a lot of fun we can have and a lot of strategy that we can, put into those. But I got back from vacation and I'm just lame and haven't been able to like jump into it yet. I'm playing catch up, but I do have some ideas of what we can do, so I think it'd be fun to experiment and whatnot, and you guys can follow in that experimentation with me.
And I know, in case some of you aren't seeing the stories option up at the top, I know my husband had to update his Instagram before it would show up, so make sure you've updated your Instagram, and once you do that on your phone, it should show up at the top in case it's not there for you yet.
Yeah, good tip. I had to update my Instagram and then also update my the iOS or whatever. Like, my entire phone was like not prepared for it, so I had to completely do like an update on my phone for it to work.
Mine just showed up one day.
Well, look at you, all updated all the time.
One day, and I was like, oh, look at those little circles at the top of my Instagram, and I clicked on it, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it literally, all the social media managers I know were literally like running around like with their hair on fire when Instagram announced that day. I don't think anybody knew what to do with that.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, I love them. I really do love them. I don't use it as much as I want to, but because I just forget sometimes. But I do love them, and I've gotten really great engagement that way. And like I said, one of the things that I love is that on any piece of your story that you share, whether it's one of your video clips or a picture that you share, people can reply directly to that little piece. So like when I put Daisy May on there, I always get all these comments that people reply. It's like a direct message to me, and they're like, she's so cute and blah blah blah. So it's just really cool because I can talk about something specifically, and then people can ask me questions, and we can have a one-on-one conversation right there in Instagram. And I just think that's really cool. So Nicole, you were asking about, building that brand awareness. That's a really great way to do it.
Yeah, when we think about like know, like, trust, that's why people who had issues with Instagram is that it's so curated and it seems fake. Like, here are these beautifully styled photos, and why do I have to post everything that seems like too perfect when life behind the scenes is like a little messy and it doesn't show really much vulnerability? And of course you could use your captions to do that, to open up and get to know your audience. But now that you have stories, again, you can keep this beautiful feed that's sort of, like a landing page for your business, but then they can click on your stories and see kind of like more in the moment, more raw, like real things happening, and they can engage more on a personal level with you, and you can share more on a personal level. One day you might not have makeup on and you're just like hopping on and like sharing a tip, and like there's nothing wrong with that because it goes away after 24 hours and people can, get to see both sides, I guess.
And Leanne asked, what if you don't like video? Is it okay not to show your face? And I have my own opinion of that, but I'll let you guys answer that too.
I'll tell you, I was the biggest like scaredy cat when it came to video, and I still feel a little hesitant a lot of the time. I get the nerves, but I don't know if you drink, but my tips are just to have a glass of wine or two before you hop on. Like, but I mean, I did that for my first Periscope, which yeah, I did, and then my first YouTube video, which now it's become a thing where like on my YouTube videos I just drink before. It's like part of the process because it like loosens up my nerves. But I hate it too. Like I hate video, but I love video. I know that video is becoming more and more essential, and I do think that people need to see your face. I definitely think that in order for them to like connect with you, I think we've talked about this. No one is a unique and like a unicorn. Like none of us are like doing anything very unique. Like, but we do it in our own way, and people connect with us by getting to know us. And I think seeing someone's face and seeing real life like helps them to choose you over somebody else who's doing the same thing that you do.
And I actually had a conversation with Cody from HomeFit, who's on this video, and we talked about how one of the things that he learned was that you should force yourself to do video every day just to get comfortable with it. And even though that sounds atrocious and like a train wreck, it's shocking how literally when you teach yourself just to hit publish on a blog post or just to tweet or just to do Facebook, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. So I try to force myself to do at least one short little video every day, even if it's not my face, even if it's just me talking, going like showing the beach or doing whatever. Just get used to it because it's going to help you out so much.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, the first time I ever did a webinar like a year and a half ago, it was terrifying, and I think I stuttered my way through half of it. It was horrible, but I've progressively gotten better. But I really do believe that your face is part of your brand. So, I know a lot of bloggers who are even scared to put a profile picture on their sidebar because they don't want people to know what they look like, or they're really critical of their own looks, or whatever the case may be. But you have to get over that, honestly, because people connect with a face. They don't connect with a logo or a font or a color palette. So you are your brand. You need to be in front of the camera, even if it's just once a week and the rest of it is, video of other things that you're doing. But make yourself a regular presence because it will make a difference with that engagement. People want to get to know you. And we had this question, and I tried to get to it earlier, but it got covered up, so thank you, Marianne, for asking again. But do you recommend giveaways, and do you have any tactics for doing giveaways on Instagram?
I do. It depends on if you are. The tactic or the strategy depends on how many followers you already have. So if you're going to do a giveaway and you don't have a big following yet, I would suggest doing it in conjunction with other people in a similar industry so that you can share audiences. So you can do a loop giveaway or like a bundle with other people. Like if you have a service or a product that would bundle well with a few others, then basically what's going to happen is that you all are going to post at the same time, and then depending on how many followers those other accounts have, they're all asking people to follow your account to be entered to win or comment to be entered to win. And so I do think that contests can help you with growing a following a little bit faster and expose you to a new audience. I wouldn't recommend doing them too often, like no more than like once a month or so, and to be mindful of what you're giving away and if it relates to your target audience, because if you're doing a giveaway for something that has nothing to do with what you actually do, you're going to gain a lot of followers who just want to win that thing, and then you won't be able to get any engagement out of them afterward. So it has to, again, be strategic. Like, why am I giving this away? Because it attracts the person I want to eventually sell to. But they can be really helpful. I've done giveaways on my own, and just grown by like 20 or 30 people just based on my current followers tagging their friends and getting their friends to come follow for something simple and small. And I've done loop giveaways that I've been a part of where I've gained hundreds of, followers at once just from being a part of like a big bundle. So it can definitely help. When you do those big loops, though, you have to be mindful that you probably will lose followers after it's over, the people who were just in it to win it, basically.
Y'all, I had like a little happy dance in our beach condo last night with my family. I was like literally went, ah! And I like started dancing around the room. Everybody was like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "I just went over 10,000 followers on Instagram. I'm so excited!"
Woohoo! Congrats! That's awesome.
It's a loop giveaway, and I will say, Stephanie, though, I'm really nervous. So I'm like, "Oh no, what if when it's over, I go back down to 9?"
I saw your loop, and I think your loop giveaway, the products that were in it are related to what you do. So I don't think you have to worry so much about that. Because it's like some people will like, I'm going to give away this thing, but it's like such a broad thing. It wasn't like a stroller and like stuff for like
And Lululemon.
Yeah, like that stuff all relates to like what you do.
Which is what I basically blog about.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that's great that you can see like the people who you're attracting are people who would go back and read your blog or like who would want to follow your posts after, and that's what's important. And congrats on getting over 10,000. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. It's nice to talk about it with people that get it. Like my family was like, cool.
Yeah. No, that's like a milestone. You know, it's like you get your first 100 and then you get your first 1,000 and you're like, oh, I'm at 5. And like, yeah, I'm like shooting for my 10,000. I'm not talking until I get to 10.
Well, and I don't think people unfollow on Instagram like they do on other platforms either. Like typically when you follow somebody on Instagram, you just follow them. Like you're still there. Even if you don't really engage with their content a whole lot, those numbers kind of stay up there. So I don't think there's a lot of people who enter giveaways and then go back and just unfollow all these different accounts.
Yeah, it would have to be that like after you followed someone, they start posting really wild and crazy things that like you didn't sign up for, that you're like, okay, I don't know who this person is and I'm not connected to them in any way, and they're not posting anything that is valuable to me, and then sometimes I'll unfollow because of that. But you're right, typically they're not, and especially with the algorithm, chronologically, it's not even probably showing up in your feed if you're not engaging with them anymore. You never even know that you're following them.
True, exactly. Yeah. One question that was a while back, so I don't want to forget it. It was from Nicole, and she said, Stephanie, what's your formula for calculating engagement?
Okay, yeah, that's a good. I shared this I think in the Graham Gang Facebook not so long ago. Let me make sure I don't mess it up. So, like I was saying, formula for engagement. Before I was looking at, okay, so I have this many followers, and then each post is getting, you know, this many likes, and I would take, or this many likes and comments, and you combine that number, and then you say, well, my engagement was divided that into how many followers I have. It's like, you know, 4% or something like that. Of course, when you have a smaller account, you have more engagement, and it's kind of like your email list, where it's like the bigger it grows, the smaller your percentage of engagement becomes. And so you kind of have to give yourself, I think, over the course of posting a good bit, like a good average of this is what I strive for as far as every post I want this percentage of engagement. And that's, I think, a personal thing. And there's not like an industry standard, I don't think. It would probably be like 2% or something. I'm not sure, like something like an email list. But with insights, you would calculate that differently, because you would be able to see that, okay, yeah, I have, 10,000 followers, but I only got 400 likes on this photo. But when I look at my insights, that photo didn't even get seen by 3,000 followers. So I would take the 3,000 and divide it by the amount of, the 400 likes and comments, if that makes sense. You would take it based on the amount of people who it reached, because your feed isn't reaching everyone all of the time. And so I think that gives you a more accurate percentage of engagement.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to see if there's any other questions that we might have missed.
Did we say, Cindy Walton said, do you engage with people who just heart your Instagram post? Some people just like it and don't comment. So how do you engage with them? Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to go through and like engage with everyone that likes it. I know some people who've got, the time to do that will go through and be like, thanks so much for liking my photo, and like open up the lines of communication if you want. But you could just, if they liked it, you could go over to their feed and like one of theirs, just as a thank you, or make a comment and maybe open up the line. There isn't really a rule. I do think that it's a good practice to respond to all of the comments that you get on your feed. Like if someone's asking a question or just saying like, oh, this is a great photo, or like I totally can relate, or whatever, to like respond to them and not just ignore it because they are opening up and engaging with you. It can get really crazy if you're posting every day to try to respond to all the comments, but I use Iconosquare still for this, because you can manage comments. So like once a week I'll log on, and then you can look at the last 5 posts that you've made and literally individually respond to everyone all at once. So I like to batch that stuff just because it's time consuming.
Marianne just asked, what cameras do we all use for our Instagram pictures? I use mostly my iPhone 6, and sometimes I'll style a shot with my DSLR, but it's primarily my iPhone.
Same. I have a 6S, and even for clients, like my local clients here that I have to pop into their places to take photos, I typically will just take there's a great camera on the iPhone 6 and 6S, and then I also have a DSLR. I have a Canon Rebel 5i or something. I'm not even sure. I'm super tech savvy. I don't know what it is, but I sometimes use that too. But But yeah, that's it. You don't need anything crazy.
Yeah, I also use my iPhone mostly for my Instagram pictures, and then I use a Nikon for blog posts that sometimes I end up using on my Instagram. But actually, some of the bigger Instagram accounts that I follow and bloggers said that once they have so many followers that their people tend to like their photos more if they can tell they're from an iPhone, because it makes them seem more quote-unquote normal. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think any of us are at that point yet. And if you
it's
are,
just more convenient.
Yourself.
I just convenient, and I mean, you know, I love that you told me about the grid thing, Stephanie, because now I leave the grid on, and you can turn that on in your settings in your iPhone, so you can make sure if you're doing the flat lay, it's level and all that good stuff, and that makes it really helpful. So, but lighting is huge. And there's really cheap and easy ways to make sure that you've got your lighting set up and all that good stuff. I mean, you can get foam board for really, really cheap at a craft store and set that bad boy up by a window so that the natural light reflects off the foam board and onto whatever you're shooting and just shoot straight down onto it. And you can do a little bit of after processing, you know, post processing, and you're good. So I think that scares a lot of people. And I know, Stephanie, you're like the flat lay queen, but a lot of people are terrified of flat lays, but one of the things I love about yours is that you'll have like 3 paper clips and that's it.
Yeah. I love the idea. Well, I like the idea of, well, simplicity, but also just every once in a while, your feed can get really muddled and feel super full. Like if I'm looking at someone's feed for the first time and they've got just a ton of very busy photos, it makes it super hard for me to even focus on what it is they do. So I like to, you know, kind of pepper in really, I mean, that's my aesthetic too, is like super clean and like minimal and white, but just that negative space, sometimes you have to embrace that negative space so that your feed can kind of breathe and people can see the individual pieces of content that you've worked so hard on. But thanks, yeah, I'm like a professional paperclip photographer.
So somebody just asked you, and this is a great question, do you edit outside of Instagram? I always do. I don't edit in Instagram at all. And what apps do you use?
Yes, great question. Do not take your photo inside of the Instagram app. It actually, there's a difference in the camera when you're shooting from within Instagram. I shoot directly with my camera app on my iPhone, and then I open it up in VSCO, the VSCO. That's my favorite app. I also really like Snapseed if you're trying it. Snapseed has a really great like healing brush, which is similar to Photoshop. I heard something's barking.
Yeah, that was Daisy.
She likes Snapseed too. But Snapseed sometimes, if you've got like a weird, so that you shoot it and you're looking at it and you didn't notice when you shot it that like there's like a weird hair out of place, or there's like, oh, that ugly fire hydrant, I didn't realize it was there. You can literally just like touch it and it disappears, like if you were using the healing brush on Photoshop. So that's a really good one, Snapseed. But typically I use 2 to 3 different filters on VSCO. I have almost like a formula of how I correct each image to brighten it, sharpen it. I tone everything down. It kind of has like a blue tint versus being warmer. It's a lot cooler. So I think I've come up with, and I suggest that people come up with kind of an editing formula, and then it makes it super easy. You kind of know every time you take a picture the process of editing it, and then you just throw it on Instagram. So yeah, but I don't take photos on my phone and then edit them off of the phone.
And Nicole and I both love Color Story.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. See, I don't have a lot of color in my feed, but I bought all of the filters. I have no idea why. I have no idea.
Yeah, I like color. You can tell the background from where Stephanie is. And you can go look at my Instagram feed and hers, and it looks like the room that we're in.
Exactly.
But yeah, I have a lot of color in my pictures, and I love Color Story because I can go in and I can edit just simple stuff like the white balance and the contrast and that sort of thing, and then throw it in Color Story, and it just pops all those colors, and it's really vibrant and pretty and happy, and that's the kind of feed that I love. So
yeah, that's because it's from those beautiful mess girls, and they know what's up. Like they
do. They are just amazing.
Killing
the
it.
The only app that y'all didn't mention that I love is Afterlight. I'm still a big app.
Oh yeah.
Too.
And I have I use Aviary for pretty much all the basic editing stuff. And they updated their transform tool, which is really cool because it used to be where you could only like shift it you could only straighten your picture this way, but now you can actually move it forward or backward on
Like
either
perspective,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice. So if your camera is not quite flat when you take the picture, you can straighten the picture out, and it's really
Visco does that really well too. They added a lot of like transform options and stuff. And then WordSwag is another app that I love. That if you're trying to add graphic posts in, you're not really super comfortable with, say, like Photoshop. I mean, there's Canva, but you have to get on the computer. Well, no, actually, there's an app for Canva now too. Yeah, so
although it's very glitchy.
Okay, I haven't even tried it yet, but because I use WordSwag, and that is sometimes for clients, and every once in a while to add text or to create a graphic, you can throw that up. So that's another good purchasable app.
Hey, you guys, we have about 7 minutes left, and I've got at least 4 more questions, so I'm going to go really quick. Christy said, I still can't tell if Instagram stories is great or not. I only say this because I have companies that watch my videos, and it makes me feel like I need to be quote-unquote professional, ?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not sure, like, industry-wise, like, you can't block anybody from your stories that if they still see your grid. So unless you went private, anything you share in your stories is pretty much open for anyone. That's the one difference between Snapchat and stories, is that with Snapchat you can kind of decide on, and people can't find you unless they know what your username is and whatnot, so you have a little more privacy. But I mean, maybe you can still be vulnerable. I think you can still be honest, but still, I don't know, put makeup on and feel a little more professional. I think you can still use stories, but you might just not want to be, taking it out to the bar on the weekends, or, doing anything like super, like, personal on it. But I still think it could be, like, if you were strategic about it, you could still use it to your advantage.
I definitely agree with that. And then we've got Amanda who said, I've heard a rumor that Instagram business accounts are going to be less visible in followers' feeds because of the new algorithm similar to Facebook. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, yes, that is going to happen. I don't know how, like, soon it's going to happen. Obviously, the algorithm rolling out first was step one, and then the business accounts, because, like I said, in business accounts, we're all like, woohoo, we get these insights. You can switch back from a business account back to a personal account if you want. You're not, like, locked in forever. So you could give it a try, and then if you feel like your engagement is dropping, switch back. But I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that it's social media, when it came out, everybody's like, of course, businesses like jumped onto it and we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to use this for free advertising. I think we have to remember that, like, a lot of businesses before social media was a big thing had to pay to reach their customers, and so we have to get a little I guess we have to get a little experimental with, like, how we reach those people. Like, make sure you're getting their email addresses, like Kirsten had said. If you're worried that you're not going to be able to reach them, you can always reach them through email. So I would use this time right now to make sure that you're capturing those addresses from the people who are still seeing your feed. But we don't know the future, but I do know that if you can start with your business account right now and start to get people to engage with your accounts right now, you'll be better than if you decide to do a business account later once the algorithm has completely taken over. It's kind of like Kirsten just not opening up her Facebook group or a Facebook account for her business. Like, she's not going to really be able to, like, grow that and reach her people in the way that people who really built their businesses with Facebook could do before the algorithm.
And I think we've got tons more questions that we're not going to get to, so I've said this already in the chat box, but just so we make sure everybody hears this, if you go to Homegrown Bloggers, that I put the link in on Facebook, Stephanie, if you're okay with it, I think that you, I, and Kirsten are all happy to go in there and answer questions after the fact, too.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So I'm going to do one more question, and then we'll do a 2-minute wrap-up just to say goodbye and make sure everybody knows where to follow everybody. So Lynn BS said, what is your favorite Instagram scheduler?
Oh, good question. Well, I use Hootsuite for clients because there's a bigger dashboard. I use Planoly for myself, and I use Later for the Graham Gang. So I want to be able to give opinions about all of, like, the major ones, and so, I mean, they all have, pros and cons, so I could definitely dig into those. Like, in the Graham Gang, if you're in the Graham Gang Facebook or in the Homegrown Bloggers Facebook, I'll be able to, like, give you more details on those, but I don't think you can go wrong. I feel like Later is a good one to start because it's free, but there are benefits to using Hootsuite and Planoly as well.
And I actually have a blog post on 7 scheduling tools for social media, and 2 of those were Planoly and Later. So I can link to that too in the Facebook group, and you guys can go see like screenshots of the dashboards of each one and all that good stuff.
Perfect.
And so you guys, first of all, Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. And we are beyond pumped that you're an ambassador for Homegrown Bloggers events and that you're going to be teaching at our Birmingham event. And for those of you that didn't hear in the beginning, Homegrown Bloggers is basically a platform that Kirsten and I founded, and our first event is for bloggers in September in Birmingham. It's September 24th. It's all day on a Saturday. We're going to have awesome swag bags. We are going to have a really community-driven event where you are not only learning about blogging and social media and Instagram with Stephanie and Lightroom with our other ambassador, Beth, from Unskinny Boppy, but we're really going to go ahead and implement the changes that you learned there. So the great thing about that is you don't have any feedbacking. Feedbacking isn't a word, but
It's a little crazy, but that's okay.
okay, so I'll let Kirsten tell you more about following us so I don't feedback anymore.
It's kind of echoey, but it's all good. But yeah, so I mean, Homegrown Bloggers, you know, we talked about it at the very beginning too, but we have homegrownbloggers.com, and I just put a link to our Birmingham event in the chat box. So we would love for you guys to join us, but you can find us, and this is horrible that I don't know all of our handles because somebody took our Homegrown Bloggers handle on one of our platforms, and that makes me angry. So one of them, we're on Instagram at Homegrown Bloggers, and we're on Twitter as Homegrown Blogs, just the blogs, plural. So you can follow us there, and we are in our Facebook group more than anything else. And we like to share updates and pictures of swag and all that fun stuff with you guys there. So we would love for you guys to pop over. And even if you can't make it to the Birmingham event, please pop over and join the Facebook group because there's a lot of other content in there. We do these webinars once a month, all different kinds of topics that are blog related. So, you know, you guys signed up for the email list when you joined this webinar, so you'll definitely get updates for that. But just make sure you pop over, and if you want us to bring Homegrown Bloggers to your city, we would love to know that too. And we're mapping out all kinds of stuff for 2017. So, yeah. Anything else? Any last thoughts, Stephanie, Heather?
I've seen 3 or 4 of you join us on Instagram, and then probably about 10 to 15 of you have joined us on Facebook. So if you follow Homegrown Bloggers on Instagram or My Life Well Loved or Sweet TLC, like, and I think it's at Steph J. Gilbert. Like, we want to follow you back. We want to know who you are. So come follow us. We'll follow you back, and we can stay connected that way too. Because we all love Instagram. It's so great.
Woohoo!
She froze.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was fun. I'm sorry that I ramble on. I love it.
Oh no, it's all good.
Go on and on and on. So I'll definitely hop into the Facebook group and try to answer more questions. And like I said, if you guys just follow me on Instagram or join the Graham Gang, there's going to be a lot of more Instagram information shared, and then hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys at the event as well, and we'll do some flat laying.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun because there's wine.
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite thing to do is to get drunk and talk about social media. So it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a great time. So anyway, there will be a recording of this. Actually, this page is just going to stay up with the chat box for through the weekend. I'm going to take it down on Monday. So those of you who are late, you are more than welcome to just pop back in. And when we end, you can just push play, and you can skim right through and watch the replay and scroll through the chat box. All the questions are in there, and we'll continue the conversation over on Facebook. So thank you guys so much, and have a fabulous weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank
Thanks so much for being here.